of the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the landing party on this Stardate 2504.23. I'm your host, Graham Nolan, and tonight is episode 49, A Piece of the Action, written by Gene Roddenberry, David P. Harmon, and Gene L. Kuhn, directed by James Comack. Gene Roddenberry, in his original 1964 Star Trek pitch, included a one-sentence idea for an episode called President Capone, in which the Enterprise crew land on a planet which is a parallel version of 1920 Chicago, where Al Capone is president. George Clayton Johnson, who wrote the first televised episode of Star Trek, The Man Trap, later developed the idea into an outline titled The Syndicate, which later became a treatment titled Chicago 2. The concept was abandoned until producer Gene L. Kuhn found the treatment and worked on a script with David P. Harmon titled Mission into Chaos. Nobody wanted this episode made. The script that Harmon submitted was a disaster, according to D.C. Fontana, who, along with Bob Justman, actively disliked it. They felt it was neither comedy, drama, or even a combo of both. It was Gene Kuhn who, with his sense of humor, who championed it through. It is the last script he would work on under his own name. He would contribute 3 more scripts for the 3rd season under the pseudonym Lee Cronin. One of them considered the best of the 3rd season, and one considered the worst. A Piece of the Action turned out to be one of the most beloved episodes of the series. So I guess you could say that Gene Kuhn was proved right. I was watching the great noir prison film Brute Force the other day and was surprised by all the Star Trek connections in that movie. Anthony Caruso, who plays Bella Oxmix in this episode, John Harmon, who played the bum called the Rodent in City on the Edge of Forever, and Teppo, he also played Teppo in this episode. John Hoyt, who was Dr. Boyce in the pilot The Cage, and Jeff Corey, who was the leader of the Cloud Minders in the 3rd season, were all in that movie in Brute Force. James Doohan was the voice of the radio announcer. The one who says, brought to you by Bang Bang, the greatest little automatic, or whatever it was. William Shatner improvised the rules of Fizbin. That wasn't in the script. The pauses and confused looks on the gangsters were real because they didn't know what he was talking about. This is the only episode of Star Trek to end on a freeze frame, which was kind of common in television. Bill Blackburn, who was Shatner's lighting stand-in and a perennial member of the bridge crew, finally gets a character name. He is known as Lieutenant Hadley. The DJ is the first woman to be shown receiving Spock's neck pinch in this episode. So a lot of firsts, some interesting stuff, and a really fun episode. So that is your Captain's Log tonight, my friends. Let's bring in... You've all played Fizz Bin, but has anybody ever played Fizz What? And right now, we are the dynamic duo because Aaron won't make it. He was down in Arizona picking up his daughter from college and bringing her back. He won't be back till tomorrow. So he's missing out on his favorite episode. It's got to be killing him. And Anna is just running a little bit late. That's what happens when you have baby Peaches to take care of. So
Baby Peaches.
she should be in on a little bit. So it's up to Ron and I to hold down the fort here, brother.
Yeah, what a fort it is with this episode. I don't
Yeah.
even know I don't know what to make of it. I liked it a lot. I just it's just so you really have to suspend, what is that called? Suspend
Disbelief.
belief. Because just the idea that they would turn their whole society into this, this version of the 40s gangster era is a little hard to swallow, almost as hard to swallow as the Omega glory, probably, or the patterns of force. I mean,
Right.
those particular episodes all kind of go together for that reason.
I think you could make a point. Let's say a book is given to these people who are highly imitative about Chicago gangsters and stuff. I could see them patterning their society after some of that stuff that's in the book. But the one thing they wouldn't have had, unless it's a picture book, was the mechanics of those cars, the
Mhm.
clothing that they wore, the styles of the clothing and the material.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
How
know,
would they come up with the Model T, or not the Model T, but whatever those particular cars were? How would they get, engineer all the nuts and bolts even?
right,
And
just so that it looked just like that.
chassis, the
Yeah,
drive trains
yeah.
on all.
The combustion engine, which maybe they didn't even have.
I know, that's what was so unbelievable. Because if it's just from a book, I mean, it's not
Right,
enough.
and the book is not about uh, life in the 1920s. The book is specifically about Chicago gangsters, so they're not going to be talking about you know. Um,
And even the Tommy guns, like
right,
like, I mean, it's how did they come up with the idea of how they figure that out,
right,
And even the kids, I mean, there's that kid actor who was in a bunch of different things. With the one, he's like a piece of the action. That's where they got the title from.
Oh yeah.
He was
You don't
in.
even know what the action is.
I don't even know what the action's going to be.
Yes,
He's a guy
I figure it's a
figures.
good percentage.
He's like logical.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great scene.
Yeah, it is. But
Yeah.
that kid was, I recognize him from a couple of different things. He was like in I Dream of Jeannie and a few other things. Mod Squad, I think.
Yeah, he was in a bunch of stuff in the 60s.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever
Just
had
a
a
kid,
career.
but I mean, I recognized him
Mhm.
from a few different things. But anyway, yeah, so the time, the guns and the cars and I mean, I get past the clothing and, maybe even the brownstones a little bit, but
Mhm.
overall, it's a tough swallow.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of take it for what it is, sort of a comedy, and then Shatner, the way he just instantly takes on that dialect. Yeah, the fancy heaters and, I mean, as he
I'll be
kind of,
honest, that is the one thing I dislike about this episode is his performance in trying to mimic that
right.
phraseology. It's not like he's got a Chicago accent or I don't even know what that is.
And where did he come up with that? He's never,
Yeah, they're not really talking like that.
yeah, yeah, they're not. They're just
Hey,
thick
Krakow.
Italians. Yeah, Krakow. What does he say? He's like, you want more? What did he say? There's one line he delivers that's so hammy with that it's just
Oh,
it's like Dick Tracy or something.
you're running this like a piecework factory.
Penny Annie
Oh,
operation.
Penny Ann. Who you calling Penny Annie? I'll call you
I'm
Penny
calling
Annie.
you Penny Annie.
Yeah.
How does he even know that? I mean, the whole thing is a bit unbelievable, but again, it's just a TV show. For crying out loud.
The bottom line is it entertaining? And you have to say that this episode moves along quickly and is entertaining from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Regardless of the suspension of disbelief they're asking you to do. It is a lot of fun.
And I like the way I do like the way they outwit each other. Like Oxamix thinks he outwits
Jojo Krakow.
Krakow, yeah. And you're kind of rooting for one side or the other in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was kind of rooting for Krakow in the beginning, and then Oxamix kind of took over, and then they came together to, at the end. But
Hey, let me thank Ads 80 for that. I'm assuming Australian $5. Ron and Aaron can't argue this episode. That's just wrong.
there's no argument. My opinion will always outweigh Aaron's.
Look at this guy. This guy's coming in here and he's spouting Star Trek stuff. I mean,
hey, sweetheart, the Federaton's taking over.
yeah, we're taking over.
Gooch.
You know, hey, maybe they're gonna want a piece of our action.
I want a piece of our action. Yeah. I would like. I do like the costuming and everything. It was pretty accurate. I liked.
There it is, Billy.
Listen to the Federation's taking over, gangster.
What is JTK?
Yeah, what is JTK?
Yeah, you're a couple. We're a couple of Luddites when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Luddites. How come Billy's not on the screen here? He should get on the screen with us.
Yeah, I'm not sure Billy is a real Trekkie,
He's not really one of the
he
chosen ones.
He is not part of Landru, I don't think.
He's
not one with the body.
Unless he's playing with himself, then he's one. Which he does all the time, right, Bill?
He goes, nah.
Then what are you doing here? You can't tell me you're not at least a little bit.
He's hanging with his bros. That's what he's doing.
He is. He is. So what else about this? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know what else there is to really say about it other than that it's a comedy. I would definitely rank it way above not Trouble with Tribbles, but the Mud stuff as far as comedic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely.
I like this better than Tribbles, to be honest.
You do?
I think, because I think Tribbles is too over the top. Whereas
I don't know if I'd put it over it. I mean, because it, Tribbles became such a part of Star Trek canon.
Yeah.
That it offered something in that way towards that. I mean, this one doesn't really offer anything like that towards the entire lore of Star Trek. I mean, it's a fun episode that ranks up there for entertainment, but it doesn't offer anything in the, what can you think of that this episode offers the lore or the canon of Star Trek? Nothing really, other than a bit of a fun side piece of the action in Star Trek. See what I did there?
the problem with Tribbles for me is the sets are really, really bare bones. Like the barroom fight, it looks like it's in a cafeteria at Paramount. Or at least the sets here, they had the backstage stuff or the what do they call that, backlot stuff. Which works really well, and then the interiors look good and believable. So I think that for me at least,
definitely adds to it, brings it up. I mean, but there are also other episodes that have the same benefits of having a better backdrop that aren't as good. But yeah, I'll give it that for sure. Yeah, I have no argument with you as far as the way it looks. It looks great. It's, you have to really suspend your belief on it. But Nimoy's performance, even, I mean, I like the way he tries to act like he's talking a bit gangster, but he can't pull it off, So that's fun.
Ed Z80 for another $5. Graham likes this more than Tribbles. That Star Wars girl Anna just fainted. True enough. I love Nimoy in this. Like when Kirk is discussing Fizbin with those guys, and he says, "Spock, what are the odds of a royal Fizbin?" And he's like, "I have never calculated them." Well, believe me, they're very high.
And I like how he gets away with that because he doesn't tell a lie. Vulcans don't lie, so he's not lying, but he still adds to the.
And when they're talking about the percentages, he says a small, a minuscule percent, and then he catches himself and he's trying to get into character, a very small percentage. I just think Spock is really great in this one.
Yeah. he's definitely he really is the perfect counterpoint to Shatner in all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the overacting or whatever you want to call it with Shatner. I would never say he's overacting.
Me neither. There are parts,
Yeah,
particularly
moments.
later on in the third season, where you could make the case that he's overacting. But
Well, you made that case on the other one with Obsession. You said that it's or not Obsession, with the Gamesters of Triskelion.
oh yeah, that was the first time I felt like he was overacting. What
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
doing?
It was almost like it was such a boring script that he had to do it to
Right.
liven it up a bit or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he is so good at nuance too.
yeah.
Like when there was a sequence here where just his facial expressions, where he does sort of a double take, like he's about to answer a question, and the guy fills in the answer. He's not really it's rhetorical. He's not really asking for it. And Kirk is like this. He's like, that kind of like double
Yeah,
take. Is
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's a subtlety.
You can see they're really enjoying it, and probably a part of it is because they probably loved getting into those costumes and everything because it didn't feel like Star Trek to them. They weren't in the uniforms. It wasn't,
Mhm.
it was just like an excuse to jump into another movie or something or another show in a way.
Yeah,
That
that's got to be a lot of fun for them to do that kind of
yeah,
stuff. You
yeah,
know.
it must have been fun for them to put on the suits and the hats and the play with the guns and the cars and you know, I mean, I would have had a ball with that too because I love in particular, even when have illustrated books in the past. I enjoy it the most when I get to do period pieces. You know,
Mhm.
oh, somebody's in. Oh, there we go. Look at McCoy.
Yeah, look at Nimoy in that outfit. That is so badass looking,
It would
that
be great to
brown.
just have a show just centered on that.
I
Like, let's
know.
say this wasn't Spock or it didn't exist, but they created a show with that guy right there with that suit on and the pointed ears. And
Yeah,
how great a show would that be?
I know.
Oh,
I love the brown uh pinstripe, the
yeah,
red
yeah,
tie
yeah,
and pocket uh tissue or whatever they call that. And then
yeah,
the cream colored shirt. It's so freaking awesome.
yeah. And DeForest looks like he's mad he doesn't get to wear one of the suits.
Yeah, he's stuck in the velour. Yeah. Now Kirk's outfit I didn't like as much. I thought that f- uh I guess it's like a felt hat was too fluffy looking.
Which one?
The one that Kirk wore when he was the
Yeah,
gangster.
it was a
It
little more
was
yellowish or something. I'm trying to remember.
let me see if I can find it here.
Yeah,
Um
no, it was bigger too. It looked like it was slightly bigger, maybe.
yeah.
Or maybe Shatner's just got a smaller head or something.
Oh, he's got a giant head
He didn't seem to when I met him.
compared to his body.
He's definitely got a tiny body. That I was struck by how little he was.
Okay, here we go. Uh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, see, it looks bigger on him. Looks like it's just sort of sitting on the top of his head there.
Yeah, it does look big. And you can see like
The
I don't know.
fuzz.
Yeah, the fuzz.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just a cheaper version that they because it definitely doesn't look right on him almost in that picture.
Yeah.
Whereas Nimoy,
Some guys can pull off a hat. There are guys that cannot wear a hat, for
yeah, I
whatever
mean, when
reason.
you compare him next to Nimoy is right on, but that
Oh, he's freaking rocking it.
yeah,
He
it
is
really
rocking
looks
that
good
out.
on him. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, the colors, everything is in perfect sync with him.
Yeah,
Whereas the
yeah.
blues
Even
on
the
Shatner.
tie clashes a little bit with the pinstripe.
Yeah, I think you're right. And what is that? It's
Should have been a
like a
plain
teal
tie.
shirt, maybe?
Yeah, like greenish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that velour, that hat with the fuzz on it just isn't cutting it.
Yeah, yeah. It felt like the hat needed to be shaved.
But I wonder that set, like the mirror thing in the background. That
Mhm.
looks like it's supposed to be a mirror,
Mhm.
or there's some pretty detailed stuff going on in the sets.
Oh yeah, and oh hey, there's Anna. Hey Anna,
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
somebody sounds tired.
Oh
uh-oh.
my God. I have barely slept. What's up, guys?
Oh,
Oh, you poor thing.
yeah.
Well, that's not just it. So last night I was up painting and something crawled on my foot, and I swear I like screamed out of my skin. I thought it was like a rat or a mouse. It was a baby raccoon.
Oh my God.
How were you in a position that a baby raccoon walked on your foot?
Ron, this isn't the first time that this has happened.
Are you in that outbuilding where you broadcast from?
Yeah. Well, so my dog, of course, she heard me, so she ran in. So we were trying to find this baby raccoon, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I need to get out of here before the mom comes back."
Yeah, she's
No,
gonna be
yeah,
pissed.
you get
Yeah,
torn apart.
I know. So that happened. So I was scared. So there was no falling asleep after that. And then so I went to the gym. I got home ready to go to sleep. And then the baby is like, I'm gonna be awake with like full on energy all day.
Oh man.
So I've just been
But I'm missing something. How did the raccoon end up in where you are in the house?
I have my heater on in here, and I leave the door open for my dogs to come in and out.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
The
okay.
raccoon just came in, huh? Wow, that's crazy.
I know. And I'm just like, ah. This
You
happened a couple years ago. I was on a show, and I'm sitting there, and I thought it was my little dog, Tulip. I thought she came in and laid on my feet because 'cause she'll do that sometimes. And then so this was going on for 10 minutes. I thought Tulip was on my feet. I go down to pet her, and it's not Tulip, it's a raccoon. It's like a little raccoon, and so again, I go flying across the room scared out
That's
of
nuts, man. That
Yeah.
reminds me of a time when I was sitting in my old house in my living room and I was watching TV or something. I looked down, and this baby mouse came over and sat next to my foot.
Oh
And
my
I picked
god.
it up and it was cleaning itself in my hand and everything. It was so tiny. But I must have accidentally killed the mother or something because I used to relocate them at the time. I just didn't have the heart to just kill them.
Right.
So I would take one of those safe traps and I would just, take it. And then I got tired of it, so I ended up killing them all.
Yeah.
I got tired of
You
having
can
to.
only go so far. You know?
Everyone's got a cat.
Yeah, no, I never did. I had a dog, but he would just walk. I remember one night I would hear. I remember it was like 4 in the morning. I heard thump, 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 and I knew it wasn't my dog because it was a golden retriever. I kind of woke up and I looked, and my golden's head was up, and he was watching. I saw this big rat and a mouse running across the floor right in front of my dog. And he was just watching them. And they ran into the closet in my studio and disappeared. And I'm like, oh shit. So
Did you
I
say
came
a
out
rat?
a rat. Yeah, I didn't realize it, but they were coming in at night when I was sleeping. And I found out
Holy
how they were
shit.
getting in. There's a little hole underneath. It was an old house at the time before I remodeled it. But in the kitchen, there was a little hole this big underneath the sink, that came in from the outside that I didn't know was there. And so they were getting in that way. And I pulled apart the couch in the living room and there was rat shit, the hard pellets. It was
Oh,
everywhere.
oh,
I didn't know how long they've been coming in and out of the house. For a long time, it looked like.
the disease. Oh,
Yeah. So I had sterilized the whole friggin' house and I put a trap in my studio and I heard it snap and I heard snap and I came in, sure enough. The rat was like that big.
oh
Oh
my
my
God.
god.
Right in
Hell no.
half, and then the mouse and the other one. And
Aw.
so that was that. And I obviously got rid of them and sealed up the hole and everything. But yeah, so that was crazy. But yeah, a raccoon on my foot, that was not.
Yeah.
Dude, it was so tiny. Like if I were to hold it, it'd barely fit in the palm of my hand. So it was a new one. So I'm like, well, where the did like this
And
raccoon?
yeah, probably did you think about picking it up or
No, it ran.
oh it ran?
Yeah, it ran and hid
It's that
because
time of year. I was mowing 2 days ago and a baby bunny was right in the grass right in front of my mower. And it was like this big.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was real small. They're cute as hell,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I got a family that lives under my shed. And so when
Oh.
I go out there to mow too, all of a sudden, I'll see this baby bunny or the mother bunny, that little white fluffy tail going boink, boink,
Yeah,
boink, boink.
one time in my yard there was a hole by a tree, and all their little heads were sticking out. And the mother didn't run away. She was watching me. She was like 5 feet away. She didn't run. I think she was trying to distract me from it. But I
Yeah.
looked, saw them all. Yeah, this back here, I've had a lot of incidents like that. So you have a lot of woods behind you or something, Anna?
No, I live in the middle of a city.
Oh, really?
I know, but there's a lot of I guess wild creatures here because like there was a coyote in my backyard once, hence why I got a bigger dog. This is the second time with raccoons. There's a possum currently my dog is feuding with. So
Coyotes are not, you don't
Yeah.
want to fool with them, man. I just saw a video of this rabid coyote at this guy's door. And it was like, like a sliding glass door in his backyard. And the coyote is right up there. And he's putting his face up to the glass and he's like, showing his teeth. My God, those incisors on those coyotes are like twice as long as your dog.
Mhm.
They are, they are freaking brutal.
Yeah.
Man, we had a coyote. We have coyotes here because I live right next to a nature preserve, and one of my neighbors was walking his little dog, and he looks behind him and he sees a coyote stalking him, walking down the sidewalk. So he opens up the door of his car, throws his dog in there, and then turns around to face the coyote, and it chased him off. But like I said, my house is right up against the woods. And so at that point, I got my 38 out. I put that by the back door because whenever I let Pumpkin out, I hook her up to a lead, open up the door and let her go out and do her business. And, if she wants to sniff around, she's a hound, I leave her out there. But once that coyote was in the area, I was standing there with the 38 just waiting, to make sure she came in.
Well, they watch your house. They're very sly. That's why they call it Wile E. Coyote, because they're very smart. They watch your house for days. If you have a cat or a dog, they just watch the routine and they wait for the right moment.
Yeah. And they'll work as packs too. They'll draw your dog into the woods, because they're going to chase it. But then the pack is waiting there, and then they attack the dog.
Yeah, I've seen some cool videos though where a coyote will run out of the woods and grab a small dog in a yard, and then what the coyote doesn't know is there's a giant Rottweiler waiting. Rottweiler, it's cool as fuck. This Rottweiler comes out and fucks the coyote all up.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, here the coyotes are crazy. They grab kids right off the beach.
Coyotes?
Yeah.
Are on the beach?
Yeah. Yeah. So I live over by Huntington Beach, and yeah, they like I don't know how these people didn't notice a coyote was, coming up on their 4-year-old, but the coyote grabbed the 4-year-old daughter, so the dad had to fight it off.
Holy cow.
I'd fucking kill that thing.
Oh, yeah. Jesus.
Put it right under the water and drown it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Drag it out to the ocean, right?
I have them back here too. Before they put in a big development, but before that was all farmland right next to me. My son would ride his quad, and I would run into them all the freaking time. They would come in my backyard and howl because of my dog. I would hear them howling, and then and it was funny because as soon as you turn a light on, they would shut up. They'd be like, oh, and then as soon as you moved or made a noise, they would go radio silent. It was crazy. But I came across a mangy one time, and his ears were all, it was all manged out, and it was sick.
Oh yeah, that's probably
completely unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeesh.
It looked like I had mange all over it.
Yikes. Hey JDC, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. DC Star Trek series had a 3-issue storyline by Peter David, The Trial of James T. Kirk. These characters showed up at the trial as character witnesses. I'm sure he's referring to like Oxmix and that crew. Russell Hall for $5. Dr. McCoy watches a man get shot, doesn't bother to check on him. Jim, that man over there is dead. Well, he's a professional.
He doesn't care about aliens dressed up as gangsters.
Right. Adds 80 for $2. Anna needs Java. If you know, you know. And Russell Hall is back. with wait, you stepped on another raccoon?
No, it came in late on me, Russell. Again, a new one laid on me.
A new one.
Did it
An
try-
ad Z for $2. Coyotes use Acme products.
Maybe it thought you were its mother.
Uh,
It
I
saw
don't
you
have time for
nursing
another-
peaches.
I don't have time for another video. Here, if you share my screen, Graham, there's a video of the coyote getting the girl. So here's a little girl. I guess she was 2, not 4.
Can
Oh,
you
God.
can you make that full screen?
Did the girl get saved?
Yeah.
Developing tonight, a little girl's recovering at the hospital after she was attacked and bitten by a coyote on Huntington Beach.
See?
This new video shows the terrifying attack as it happened
Oh, my
at the
God.
Huntington Beach Pier.
What's that dude standing there?
Standing
That's her
there.
This new
dad.
video shows the terrifying.
That's her dad. He doesn't notice.
Oh, my
He's with
God.
the other kid.
Oh, my God. The coyote was right there. It didn't even look like a coyote. It looks smaller.
Yeah, it looks very small.
Well, so half of the beach at Huntington is the dog beach. So I bet she just thought it was a dog.
Oh,
You know? And
gotcha.
So yeah, there's the dad. I don't know if they're gonna show when the. Okay, here we go.
Nighttime beach trip turned nightmare. Pier surf cam video shows the moments a coyote attacks a little girl near the Huntington Beach Pier.
Whole crowd around the baby. The baby evidently got like bit and it was just blood all over her face.
How's
She
the
was
dad?
taken to the hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. The attack prompted an intense search for the coyote Thursday night. Officers shot and killed 2 coyotes, finding the first this morning on the beach and the
Jeez.
other at a trailer park down the Strand this afternoon.
That's crazy.
Mm.
Those
Sickening.
coyotes are always living in trailer parks, you know. They,
It's
they
so
really are.
And it's sickening to watch the father be so unaware.
I know.
Look, this is broad daylight. It's just right there.
Well, you know what?
I wonder if all the wildfires and stuff. I mean,
This is
You-
before the wildfires.
oh,
You know
is
why
it?
there's no coyotes on Florida beaches? Because they're armed. They'd shoot them.
I don't know why they're on the beach at nighttime. You're not supposed to go in the water at night.
Yeah, but you can go on the beach.
You're not supposed to at Huntington.
Really?
Why?
Yeah, the beaches close at like a certain time. I think that's why they were super close to the pier. But right across the street from this is like a wildlife preserve. So
Oh. It
I don't
probably
think that
came out
helps
of there,
much.
huh?
Yeah.
But why do they close early?
I don't.
They just don't want people hanging out on the beach.
Yeah. Man.
It's socialist California. You know, remember during COVID that surfer
Oh, I remember
got
that.
arrested because he was surfing.
He's
from-
outside. I know.
He's outside, nobody around except the cops that had to go there to arrest him because he was surfing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when you knew we were in a police state at that point.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, that's when all the fun went out of COVID.
That was- yeah, the fun went out. Yeah, yeah, couldn't even have a good time.
Oh man.
And yet,
Not
then,
like you could
then
with
you
the
find
Iowa-
Nancy Pelosi and all these other people hanging out at their hairdressers and going to restaurants and stuff while everybody else was in lockdown. It was crazy.
Russell says you need to shave your feet, Anna.
Russell, they're shaved as much as I can get.
She's a hairy gal. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So I actually rewatched this episode and it was better than I remember.
Now, weren't you saying last week that you hated this episode?
Yeah, I
And
don't,
are you not in your studio where you can't pop on or?
Ron, I look awful.
Oh, stop.
I
For crying out loud.
have like no sleep. I have baby vomit all over me. I do not look good to be on camera.
There's no way you're actually sitting there in baby vomit.
I am.
I don't
I mean,
believe
she
it.
spit up on my shoulder many times today, so I just didn't change my sweater because it's kind of
A lesser girl wouldn't even be on the show, Ron. You know, with that backstory. So
Let's see here. Here's a picture of me and Star Trek. There we go.
there we go. Okay.
You look like T'Pring in that picture.
No, she looks like Kirstie Alley.
A little bit of both. Yeah,
Uh,
a mixture.
What was that character? what was her name?
Savick.
Savick. Yeah, I was going to say Sarek.
I can't believe you didn't get that.
Yeah, I was close.
Cervix. Cervix.
No, I said Sarek. You know, I've already forgotten what it is. What is it?
Savick.
Savick. Okay.
Cervix is better.
Cervix. Yes, definitely. Ed Z80. Farron here, he would mention Star Trek about now. That's his
There's
job.
not a whole lot you can say about this episode.
See, Aaron is the cat wrangler, so that's his job. But I mean, so Anna, you watch this again, and you saw it through different lens, and you like it more now. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I think it's a little bit more charming now. When I was a kid, like I would not watch this episode. I hate gangster movies or anything that has to do with that genre, so it's not my thing. But
These
now
are
as
like the dumbest gangsters in the world.
they really were.
But they were. Before you came on, Ron and I were saying that the thing about this episode is once you suspend disbelief, this episode is so much fun though. There's humor, quite a bit of humor. There's just some funny scenes, great acting, and it moves along quickly. The episode moves along quickly. Some of them you're like,
I can agree on that.
what's that?
This one dragged a lot for me.
Really?
Yeah. But you know what? I did enjoy watching it now because I could see how much fun Kirk was having.
Yes.
So because I saw that like they were having fun, I was like, okay, this isn't as bad as I remember, but I still have no desire to watch it again.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I love the ending tag, you know, where he says, you know, they're busting on Bones for leaving his communicator there, and it has the, you know, the ballywick inside it, you know, that's you know, some kind of magic MacGuffin that once the imitative people figure out, you know, how to use this thing, they're going to be asking for a piece of our action, you know.
I
like
like the way he was trying to remember if he left it there. He was like guilty, like he's like, I may have left my communicator.
Yeah.
But I mean, what were they going to do with that? Just create, you know, all their technology off the communicator? Because did the communicator have all the basic?
Well, Spock says it contains the MacGuffin thing, whatever that was. I forget what the term. Yeah. Maybe Lynn remembers. And that's the basis of all our technology, or something like that. You know,
technology.
Yeah. And there were. I think I read there was a book or something where they did a sequel to this, where they actually broke down the thing and created this new society based on the Federation.
What?
Yeah. So they're an imitative people, and they've based their society on Al Capone and the 20s gangsters. Well, once they got hold of the communicator and broke that down, and then after what had happened and what they saw with the Enterprise and what it could do, and they were told about the Federation, and the Federation was going to come back every year for their take and all that kind of stuff. Then they started patterning. This is in this sequel novel. Their society after the Federation.
I didn't know there was a sequel novel.
Yeah.
What was that called?
I don't remember.
It was called I Don't Remember.
That's right. That's right. I don't remember what was in the communicator. So.
Huh.
Oh, wait, what's this? Worlds of the Federation. Also, the book told us that Klingons come from Kling.
What the hell is Kling?
I don't know.
It's like they changed the name of the planet to Kronos later, so they're saying Klingons come from the planet Kling.
Kling. Colonel Klink.
Gangster Planet is better than Nazi Planet, but not as good as Roman Planet.
I don't know. I can't believe I'm going to say this sentence. I like the Nazi Planet episode better.
Really?
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, it was definitely more serious, and you could tell that. Again, Nimoy being Jewish and Shatner, that it was. They were. It was. You could tell it was kind of important to them to do that one.
Yeah, the girl that was the resistance leader girl who is posing as a Nazi.
Yeah.
She was in. I think she was in the War Wagon.
Never noticed how that episode actually mimics a bit of Inglorious Bastards in that regard.
Oh yeah, yeah. But what I was going to say about that girl is she so disliked that role playing a Nazi because she was Jewish.
Oh, really?
That she retired from acting.
That made her retire from acting?
Oh my gosh. I'm sure there was something else. You know what? I bet you she just wasn't getting cast. And so she blamed it on this.
Well, that could very well be. That could very well be. That's.
She didn't have to take the job dressing up like a Nazi.
She did not. She did not.
And I mean, if Kirk and Spock can do it, she can suck it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
She can suck it up.
So you're calling bullshit on that story, is that right, Aaron?
I'm 100% calling bullshit on it.
Yeah, I think it might have been one of the reasons, a small reason, but I don't think it's the reason. Probably.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I mean,
about that. She probably
sometimes actors get roles that remind them that this is what they do for a living. I'm playing pretend and I'm doing all this shit.
Well, that should have been a choice role for her to play. I mean, if she was Jewish, a good chance to.
Yeah, because it's not like she was evil. She was like a good person pretending to be a Nazi, so that way she can unravel their plots. So, yeah, I'm calling complete bullshit on her story.
Yeah, that's it does sound like it was made up by a press agent.
We're not talking about that episode yet, so we shouldn't get into that one.
That's true. Although I think I don't have my book in front of you, but that might be the next episode.
Is it?
Patterns
Two
of
episodes in a row. Two mimic Earth planets.
I could be wrong. I don't have that in front of me. Do you have the list in front of you, Anna?
Let me pull it up. I like that episode much better. Let's see.
Where is the?
I don't know where my list is.
I'm looking for the.
Okay, we're on season 2. Okay, let's see. Piece of the Action by Any Other Name is the next episode.
Oh, by any other name. Okay.
Oh, I hate that.
That's the one with Warren Stevens.
What's the plot of that one? Remind me.
That's the one where those aliens take control of the ship and they turn the people into little cubes.
Oh, the people from the Andromeda Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're like octopus-like in real life.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if they could show that? Like when they redid this, because there was one point, I think, when they were in the cave and he was mind melding with them, and then he broke away because he got a true picture of them. Wouldn't it have been cool if like they did that? They did like this screen image that just kind of like flashed in front of the screen.
Well, they did that with they did that in Galaxy Quest.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they were octopus-like.
Now that's a true Star Trek movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's so perfect. Yeah, that would have been cool. It would have been cool if when Shatner was as usual kissing the chick that she turned into that while he was kissing her. It reminds me of a scene in Heavy Metal that Mobius drew, where the guy was having sex with this girl, but she was an alien, and then he was on the phone with somebody she was on top of him, and the person told him that it was an alien. He's like, "What?" And then the alien just turned into what it really looked like, and it was a big octopus-like thing on top of him, and it had its tentacle wrapped around his junk.
Oh my god. So Peaches had never seen that, and I guess he was trying to find a movie to turn on for the baby. And he's like, "Oh, this is a movie I've never seen before." He turned it on and I was like, "What the hell are you watching?" And I was like, "You've never seen heavy metal?" He's like, "No." He's like, "There's just a bunch of like naked people." And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you expect?"
You thought, oh, it's a cartoon, let's just watch this together.
Those were kind of the good old. Who was the artist in that? That was
It was all rotoscoped, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
but they had artists, comic artists working
yeah,
on it.
Bernie Wrightson.
Rights and who else? Who's the other guy? Oh, it's escaping me. The real psychedelic sort of artist. Was Wrightson, not Howard Chaykin, obviously.
No, it wasn't Howard.
Can't remember off the top of my head the
Because
name.
each vignette was based on this heavy metal story. Like they did Captain Strong, right? Didn't they do Captain Strong in that?
Yeah, McKean.
Which is
McKean?
Bernie Wrightson.
Was it McKean or something? What the hell is the name?
Oh, I've forgotten now. It's been so long. I used to
I
go to
can't
that at the Kubert School, like at midnight, because it would, it was one of those continual things that would show at midnight.
Yeah.
Watch the shit out of that movie. Great music.
That was right. That was probably the what year did that come out? That was like 1980.
80, 81.
So actually, Sigourney, it was post Sigourney Weaver then, because she was, that cartoon was one of the original Boss Babes, warrior chicks, was that movie. But Sigourney Weaver was probably really the original. Who came before Sigourney Weaver as far as, you had the Bionic Woman. And,
What is like badass?
There's badass chicks who kicked ass. He had Wonder Woman, Lindsay Wagner's Bionic Woman, but Ripley's character was the first real that I can think of.
Paul Taylor says Barbarella.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
You could make a case for that, and then you could make a case for some of the film noir femme fatales too.
Yeah.
The Barbara Stanwycks. Betty Davis in The Letter.
Yeah.
What an opening scene,
I'm talking about gun toting, machine gun toting.
Yeah.
Badasses.
Yeah.
So what? Let's predict what Aaron would give this.
I think he already told us.
He did?
Yeah. This is a 10.
He said this is a 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
Yes, he did. Yeah. He loves this one.
That's as absurd as Anna giving City on the Edge of Forever a 4 or whatever she gave it.
I think I gave it a 2. I hate it so much.
Ron, I think we got to take Aaron and Anna's scores and add them and cut them in half, and then and then make it a 3-way score.
Yeah, so Aaron really give it a 10, huh?
He did.
And then right now he'd be saying, "Yeah, Ron. That's right, I did, Ron.
That's pretty good."
Ron, you just don't know good fiction when you see it, Ron.
It's like he's not even gone.
Yeah. All right. So what would you give this, Ron?
Yeah, Ron. What would you give
Yeah,
this?
Ron. What would you give this?
Probably a 2. No, I don't know what I'd give it. Jesus. For sure entertainment value, I'd give it a 6.
Okay.
Maybe. It's okay. I mean, I liked it, but it's again, you really have to suspend your disbelief in it. And I mean, it was a fun episode just as sort of an aside from Star Trek, I guess. You can't really I can't take it seriously in Star Trek lore so much, other than it almost makes you not believe in Star Trek. It's so removed from it in a way. Like,
see,
it's hard.
I believe this before I believe Apollo.
What?
Really?
Yeah. I'll watch this long before I'll watch that Apollo episode.
Why?
Again, the sets that Apollo 1 sucks.
Yeah.
the setting in that.
But that was a
They
first
shied away
season
from
before
the
they had a
core.
better budget.
They shied away from the core of the Apollo episode, which would have really made it work. Was the fact that I forget what the blonde-haired girl's name was, Palomas,
Almost looks
uh,
like Columbus.
that she's pregnant with Apollo's child at
Yeah,
the end.
they should have really went down the road with that. I agree.
Yeah, that would have made that episode much more impactful.
I never got that vibe, and now my childhood, I feel like, is ruined.
I read that somewhere. What, didn't they have it in a novel or something?
Well, it was in the original script.
Yeah, but there was a written novel about that.
So they actually had a girl get some business done aside from just Kirk getting the business done.
Yeah, it
Well,
was. Don't you?
well, when
Let-
Apollo gets mad, he rapes her basically. Like,
well,
remember?
he when he walks off with her at
You
one
can't
point,
rape
he
the willing.
comes back alone. You know.
Yeah, but that it wasn't during. It was when she rejected him because Kirk was telling her, Lieutenant, you have you're an officer, snap out of it, basically.
Oh, he's
And then
got no
she
room to
starts to
talk.
reject him, and he gets really big, and she's like, like this, and that supposedly is when he impregnates her.
No. When he goes off with her and she's still in love with him is when it happens. It's not the anger part.
I thought it was the anger part because that he zooms in on her, and she's like, and then she's all torn up, like her
No,
clothes.
they already did the dirty at that point.
Yeah, but her clothes are all torn off. She comes
No, they're
back.
not.
You know what,
Yeah, they
guys?
are.
Maybe they did it more than once.
She's torn up. It's torn. She's all torn, and she got mud all over her face and everything. Yeah, I think that was implying that's what went on there.
Mm,
I'm just gonna believe they did it more than once.
Well, they might have, yeah.
yeah,
I know if it was
they
you,
were
Anna, you
rocking
would
the
have been
pillars.
once. Just kidding.
Yeah. So that's why I like this one better. It's more fun. I find the texture of the story is more believable, more absorbing. I feel like I buy this. I buy they're on this planet because they shot stuff outside on the sets. That stupid set with the a Parthenon or whatever it was that he was standing behind just looked like that. It just looked
Well,
terrible.
you're just basing it on looks, though. I mean, what about the content?
Well, I didn't think the story was all that great either. I thought Leslie Parrish was a weak guest star.
You really didn't like the idea of coming across of one of the last holdout of the gods, and because people lost their faith, they didn't exist really, or they.
I liked the idea, but I didn't like the execution of it.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that episode.
I like that episode. It's one of my more favorite ones. I can't give it a higher. I can't rate it lower than this one. I just can't. I mean, I get what you're saying as far as the sets, and I do love the sets and the outfits and all that, and the authenticity of it. I agree with you. But as far as the story itself, it's so light in tone and everything. It doesn't have Star Trek gravitas to it for me in it. Whereas Apollo and the whole implication of mythology and us worshiping idols and how we evolved beyond that, the need for them, like Kirk says in it, I think was a wonderful story to tell compared to a piece of the action where they, they learn how to fire machine guns that they would have no idea of really how to build or the cars to drive or.
I like this one better.
You see, you're reverting to something like if I were to say to my kid, why are you doing that? They always, when they don't have a good answer, they say, well, I just like it.
Well, I can tell you why. I've
good.
already explained why I like it, and I think it's okay. You have to suspend more. Well, no, I'm going to take that back. You don't have to suspend more disbelief in this episode than you do in one where there's a hand in space holding the spaceship. That
Why does that bother you?
Well, it doesn't bother me, but if I'm going to say that this episode doesn't work because I have to suspend the fact that they are able to create machine guns exactly like the kind we had in the 1920s, then to say that you can have a hand in space is just as ludicrous.
It's not a hand in space, though. You're missing the point of it. It's a manifestation of Apollo's ego. Him appearing as Apollo and his hand is holding the Enterprise as a manifestation of his power over the Earthlings, over the people who are supposed to worship him. It's not meant to be a hand in space. It's just a manifestation of his energy.
What's it look like?
On purpose, a hand. It's supposed to look like a hand.
I'm sorry, it's a hand in space.
It's not a real flesh hand. It's an energy.
No,
David,
no, it's not that. Even Spock says, it's made of energy. But
yeah.
all right, do you guys have an answer for this, gentlemen? I recently bought Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise DVD box sets. I've never seen any of them. Which should I start with?
Okay, so Deep Space Nine came out first, and then Voyager came out second. I don't know. That's a hard one, man. I watched Voyager before I watched Deep Space Nine, but I watched Enterprise before all of them. So, Deep Space Nine, everyone says is the best Star Trek. So maybe
How can anybody say Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek? I just don't.
if you watch it, it gets really, really good.
Even over the original series.
Yeah, everyone says they like Deep Space Nine the best.
I don't understand.
I hate Cisco.
Why?
He's so self-important.
You know what it is? I can't stand any show. Well, once it goes down the road of where I feel like I'm at a convention where people are cosplaying things, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
It's like the Star Wars spin-offs. I can't stand them because it's just an exercise in instant gratification of and putting on these costumes because we're going to be Star Wars characters, yay! And then it just feels so I don't know, indulgent. I guess I just don't. I can't deal with it. And that's what I felt about Deep Space Nine. It's like a bunch of fans put together a show and they became really indulgent, and it seems like a Star Trek convention to me, like Deep Space Nine does. But whatever, that's my opinion.
My answer to adds 80 would be to go with Enterprise, because if you're a fan of the original Star Trek, Enterprise is going to be the closest to that. It takes place. It's the first Enterprise. It's the first warp drive ship that they have. It's the beginning of everything. I think that show's actually pretty good. It's a shame it got canceled so quickly because. Well, it still had actually more seasons. It had 4 seasons, so a season more than the original series. But it was really, really, cooking on gas at the end there, and then they canceled it. And it's like, oh, shit.
Well, it's because they did the whole like Xindi arc, and so that you had to be following. It wasn't just like episodic,
right?
And so a lot of people fell off, and it got really good, and then they cancel it. It's like no.
Yeah, it got really good. And there was also that temporal war.
Yeah.
That was going on. That shit was really cool too.
Okay. I watched Voyager. I kind of enjoyed that when it was on. I remember watching the first episode of The Next Generation and hating it.
Well, the first episode was horrible.
It was just so even the effects were just didn't like any of it.
But it gets better.
It did get better by the third season.
It did, but it was only the Borg that made it better, in my opinion.
Well, it's actually once Gene Roddenberry passed away is when it got better because.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because he had, his worldview had gotten more and more liberal, more and more leftist, and more. He just felt that by this point in the history, human beings had achieved almost this perfection that there's no more conflict. And you can't have drama without conflict. So the writers were figuring out we got nothing to write about,
The erroneous nature of that thinking is astonishing to me.
Yeah.
You can't exist in nature without conflict.
Right.
There's no such thing. This idea that this is the problem with that, is that projecting that far into the future and thinking all those problems are solved is not, well, it's not a better way. It's not. It's actually, because we have to have a reason to live and survive. They've even done studies with animals like rats and stuff. They put these rats and mice and they gave them everything they could ever want. They didn't have to fight for food. They didn't have to fight for mates. They didn't have to, they lived all. And what ended up happening is they thrived for a bit, but then their whole society started to decay.
Right.
Because they need something to live for.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just have everything given to you. It's not the nature of the world or the universe. The universe doesn't work that way. It's unnatural.
Well, Roddenberry should have watched his own Star Trek, because there's that whole speech Kirk gives that maybe we weren't meant for paradise. Maybe we were meant to struggle, to fight.
We are meant to struggle.
And he gives that whole speech. I'm not sure if it was in the Spores episode when it was all taken away. It was one of those episodes in the original series where Kirk is mentioning that, you can't stay in the Garden of Eden. You have to fight for life, have to have purpose and all that kind of stuff. So, it went completely against his own teachings or his own concepts of the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Paul Taylor for $10 Canadian. In Undiscovered Country, Kirk does kiss the shapeshifter, so that was funny. Plus McCoy's line, "What is it with you anyway?"
That was David Bowie's wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Iman.
Yeah. And then McCoy's like, "What is it with you?"
Yeah, he sees him.
That was
Warren and Aaron fights are classics.
Ron. Come on, Ron. Yeah, Ron.
Russell wants to know who actually checked to see if she was torn.
Oh my God, Russell.
Yeah, that one I get. Doc Brewski says, "Hail, gentlemen. Hello, me fair lady Anna."
Hello.
So Anna, what is your score, by the way?
It probably would have been like a 3 or 4, but I'm gonna say 5 because I like that they had fun doing it.
Yeah, they definitely look like they were having a ball and just getting out of the whole Star Trek mindset a bit. So I definitely give them points for that, because they did look like that. Especially Nimoy looked like he was having a ball.
Well, when Kirk starts talking with
and
him,
I will give it points just for how good he looked in that suit.
Yeah, right. All right. So, do you want to amend your score?
Yeah, 6.5, I guess 6.5, somewhere in there. I mean, it's okay.
Let me ask you this. Is this one of those episodes back in the days when Star Trek was on reruns all the time? And you look through the TV guides to see what ones were coming up. Did you check this one, or did you just pass it by?
No, I never passed any of them by. I mean, it didn't matter which one it was. I wanted to watch it. I watched every episode so many times, it was sickening.
Right.
The reruns, and even when I remember it was on Channel 11.
Yeah, PIX.
And then I remember ABC started having it on at 4:00 in the afternoon. And I remember I was working we used to own a service station. I was working and we actually lived in the gas station. When I grew up, I lived in a gas station, believe it or not. We had a gas station with the bays, and we worked on cars. And then behind it, we had bedrooms and a little apartment area. And so I remember telling my stepfather, because I saw Star Trek was on at 4:00, and I was so excited that ABC was putting Star Trek on at 4:00. And I remember I was working, and I worked at a very young age. I was probably 10, and I was working in the service station. I used to do oil changes and tire changes, and
at 10.
Oh yeah, I was paying rent when I was 13. But so. I told that to my stepfather. He's like, "Oh, can I go watch Star Trek?" And he's like, he hated it. Like, he just hated it because he was an old world guinea, Italian guy. He was blind in one eye because he had an awl had poked through his eye when he was a kid. So he had a white eye. He had scars. He was a real tough guy, but he was like, "Yeah, you can go watch Star Trek," and he rolled his eyes. And I remember I was
He
like,
rolled his eye.
"Yeah," he rolled his eye, right? And I didn't care that he of his disapproval. I was just excited to go watch it. I was like, "Okay," and I bolted out of the garage and went to watch it. And I don't remember what episode it was, but anyway, the point is I didn't matter what it was, I was going to watch it if it was Star Trek. I was that attached to the show. And I remember when Star Wars came out, I was really torn because I remember because when I went and saw Star Wars, I was so blown away by it that I felt like I was cheating on Star Trek because I got so into Star Wars. I was like, cutting out the newspaper clippings and putting them in a scrapbook, and R2D2 and C3PO. And
Mhm.
it was such a new, I mean, it really points to the colossal boredom, I think, before cell phones and things, that a movie like that would have such a religious impact on people,
Yeah.
at that time.
Hmm.
The movies were great. There were real events back then. You had
Mhm.
Rocky and Saturday Night Fever and The Exorcist and all these great movies in the 70s, Grease.
Hmm.
And that one, it was such an event to go to. It's not like that anymore.
No.
Now it's hard to even find anything you can really be interested in. There's so much crap.
It's funny. When I saw Star Wars, I was just blown away by the immersion into this universe, the dirtiness of it that you didn't see before. Everything else was clean in science fiction. These spaceships, they had blast marks on it and dirt and stuff. That level of detail I loved. But the thing I walked away from not liking was the characters. I didn't care for any of the characters. I thought Luke was a brat. I thought Han Solo was weak.
Oh, I'm leaving. Oh my
because
God.
How can you say Han Solo was weak?
because I compared him to Captain Kirk.
Oh, well, yeah, it's just a different personality. I wouldn't call
Yeah,
him
it's a different personality.
I wouldn't call him weaker. He was
He was the best character in the show, and then they redid the whole scene that made him so cool was when he shoots Greedo. And
yeah, well, you're comparing a captain of a starship to a what do you call
pirate,
it? Pirate. What's the other term? Mercenary.
right?
I mean, it's two different characters. So
Well, yeah, different characters, but there's a likability factor.
Ultimately, he's the one who saves the day and is the
Yeah.
strongest of all of them. Luke, I would say, should have had the potential to become Captain Kirk, but he was too young and immature, really. I mean, I identify with Luke a lot because I was at that age where I was, looking into the horizon, wondering what the rest of my life was going to be like. So I clicked with me for that reason, and I liked Han's humor. Han added the humor to it because Luke was so serious. He took himself so seriously, or Han was a better foil for all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
All right, so my score on this is.
I like how Anna hasn't said a word. She's so mad.
I just, if I had the energy, I would, but I'm
with you, Anna.
I'm running on empty right now.
I hear you.
All right, 8.5.
You gave it an 8.5.
8.5.
Wow.
Because this one is just pure fun.
Okay.
It's pure fun. It works. There's a lot of ones that are fun, but don't hold up. But this one does. This one works on a lot of levels for me. This got some problems. It's got some faults, obviously. But it is just straight up fun. If it's on and I scrolling by on TV and I saw it, I'd stop and watch this.
It's all it's all about personalities. I think I always need a little bit something with more weight to it. It's hard for me it is fun, but I feel like fun should have some sort of underpinning. But no, I agree with you. I mean,
it does it have the gravitas of some of the other deep fiction that Star Trek has? No.
Yeah.
But not everything has to.
I might be being a little hard on it.
Yeah. You're being a hard on.
Yeah, Ron.
on it. Yeah, Ron.
Come on, Ron. Hey, Aaron, if you're out there listening, I'm filling in for you.
That's great. That's a pretty good impression too, by the way. So what did we say next week was?
The Andromeda Galaxy, by any other name. And then after that is probably one of the worst episodes, Return to Tomorrow.
Is that the one with Mr. Atos? Not Atos.
Cat.
No, that's the third season.
Which one is? Return to Tomorrow is
With the cat.
the cat. Okay.
The cat?
The
Yeah.
one where with
It's that like spin-off pitch show.
No, that's Assignment
not
Earth.
Return to Tomorrow.
Oh, it is? Oh, that,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
You're
Assignment Earth.
thinking of what is that one?
Assignment Earth.
Assignment
That's
Earth,
the one.
Yeah, that one was supposed to be a spin-off.
Yeah, that's actually the last episode of the season.
And it's awful.
You look like the girl sitting
Do
on the
not
couch.
project. We'll get to that. So what would you say it was called, this episode?
By any other name?
No.
Return to Tomorrow.
Return to Tomorrow.
That's not Sargon, is it? No,
That might be Sargon.
Is that Sargon?
I'm finding out.
Yes, my beloved.
Yes, that's Sargon.
Oh, I hate that one. Okay.
You hate that one, huh?
I really do.
I don't
My
know why.
children, Well, that ought to be interesting.
That one sort of stands on its own as far as like Sargon, and then we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Or why not next week?
Well, because next week is the Andromeda guys.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The Andromeda guys. That should have been the title.
Yeah. It's funny because it's got Warren Stevens in it, who was in Forbidden Planet.
Oh.
And that was one of the biggest influences of Star
Trek.
Trek.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Forgot.
He played the Doctor in Forbidden Planet.
Wore the white makeup and stuff. His face was all white.
Yeah.
Got to get the other guy drunk.
I just saw a Alfred Hitchcock Presents episode with him in it.
Yeah, he was around a lot in those days. I think he was in Wild West too in one episode. And
yeah, it's amazing how many of these actors that we see in Star Trek were just so prevalent in the 50s, 60s episodic TV.
Yeah, well, in Twilight Zone really was the launch for all of them.
Yeah,
Twilight Zone was one of a kind. It was first of its kind, where all these people got a job, doing these little roles, and then it just filtered into all these other shows.
Well, certainly in the sci-fi genre, but like Alfred Hitchcock Presents was like.
But even in shows like Bonanza, they were in all those too.
Oh yeah, they bounce around from westerns to.
I could never get used to seeing Nimoy in Mission Impossible, though.
I know.
It just wasn't. It just felt wrong to me.
Yeah.
But
did you ever see the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Leonard Nimoy?
I saw the one with Christopher Reeve. Was it? Or no? That was
the Children of the Damned.
Yeah, Children of the Corn or something.
Children of the Damned. It's the John Carpenter film.
Right.
Yeah.
They
made a remake in 1978 of Invasion of the Body Snatchers with Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
And
Nimoy was in that.
I'm sorry?
Nimoy was in that?
Nimoy was in that, yeah.
I just remember him narrating that TV show.
Oh, In Search of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched that all the time when that was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Search of Aliens.
Right. Search of, Mayan myths, search of, all this crazy shit.
Did one that was really short-lived, not that long ago, probably.
Oh, yeah.
15 years ago or something. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe. was kind of like In Search of.
Yeah. He also did Rescue 911.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh God. Yep.
I watched everything that William Shatner was in if it was broadcast. I mean, yeah, I would watch any show, and a lot of them were just one seasons, you know. But I would watch it if he was in it, just because it would be. I knew something cool was going to be there.
And I think these actors, man, I can't. The lives they've lived. You know, I mean, I can't imagine what that's like.
I know.
It's immersing yourself in all these different characters and traveling and all that. The lives they live are so. When they're successful at it, they seem real interesting. But I don't know how they contend with reality versus non-reality. Like, how do you play all these roles? And
yeah, Ron.
Yeah, Ron. Yeah, Ron.
Yeah, Ron.
Ron, you don't know what you're talking about, Ron.
Oh man. All right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up here. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. Thanks everybody for super chats. Thanks for watching the show. Hopefully we'll have the full landing party next week. And until then, my friends, we will see you next time in Andromeda Galaxy. Bye.